Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the NBA slate on DraftKings for Monday, February 26th. Really big slate for Monday. We got 10 games today, a lot of players to target. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Just make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe if you have not already. But starting off at point guard, up top here we got Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Steph Curry. 3 options at this position over 10K. Westbrook, definitely a guy I'm trying to pay up for today, but it's going to be hard to rank him over Anthony Davis. We'll talk about AD later. AD's in a great spot. He's 100 less than Westbrook. Davis gets to face the Suns. Just such a good matchup. You obviously know that's a great matchup. Westbrook's in a good spot as well. Orlando does struggle against point guards. But right now I'm kind of ranking Anthony Davis ahead of Westbrook. Not sure if I'm going to be able to play both unless some good value opens up. There is some value I see that's cheap that we can definitely target, but I don't know if there's going to be enough to where we can fit in 2 guys over 10K. But Westbrook, do like him here. Definitely my favorite option if I'm paying up in point guard. Harden against Utah. Just don't think I'm going to be going there. Curry's too expensive, I feel like, against the Knicks, even though that's a good matchup. I want Westbrook here if I can pay up, but like I said, right now I'm ranking Anthony Davis ahead of him. Then in this mid-range, like these 8K plays just don't have a lot of interest. Oladipo against Dallas, just don't think I have to play Oladipo today. Chris Paul against Utah, sure, like Paul's cheap, but I don't really feel like I have to have him. Kyrie against Memphis, don't really feel like I need to go there. Drew Holiday is definitely an interesting play against the Suns, but at 8,100, really don't think I have to have Drew Holiday today either. Just don't like a lot of these mid-tier plays. I think I'm either paying up for Westbrook here or definitely going to find some cheap value at this position. I do like a value play we'll get onto later. In this mid-range, just don't feel like there are guys here that I have to have that I feel like are going to burn me. So maybe if we want to go to the 6K range, I think there are some plays here that we can target. Dennis Schroeder is in a great matchup against the Lakers. But his price is the main reason I really like him. 6,800 feels like too cheap of a price for Dennis Schroeder. You obviously have to worry about not the Hawks are kind of tanking if they just give Schroeder like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Minutes have kind of been safe lately. He's been playing about 25 to 30 every night. But if this game gets ugly, obviously Schroeder is going to sit out. You would think this would be a pretty close game though. I doubt this would blow out. So if Schroeder plays like 30 minutes against this Lakers team, at just 6,800, really good play that I feel like I could definitely go to today in this mid-range. Same with D'Angelo Russell, 6,300. Really like D'Angelo Russell here. He's been playing some good minutes lately. We're seeing the minutes be back to like how they were to begin the season. Last game against Charlotte, he played 32 minutes, 33 DraftKings points. His price is getting up there. He's now up to 6,300, but now that D'Angelo Russell is playing 30-plus minutes, 6,300 might actually be too cheap of a price if he's getting his full minutes. And it is a pretty good matchup against the Bulls, who have really struggled to defend the point guard position. So in this 6K range, really like Schroeder and Russell here. Looking at these guys that are 5K, like Rajon Rondo, I think is a really good tournament play today. Won't be going there in cash games just because you never know with Rondo if he's going to get the minutes. But that matchup against Phoenix, you love that matchup. Rondo played good minutes on Sunday. The Pelicans are on a back-to-back. That's kind of concerning, but Rondo played well Sunday. He got good minutes. You could play him here, especially in tournaments in that great matchup against the Suns. But looking for the value, this is where I see a play here that I absolutely love today for value. Just 4,600, Trey Burke going up against the Warriors. I think Trey Burke, a really good value option you can use if you're trying to find a guy to maybe, if you want to fit in a couple studs, you need some cheap options. I think Trey Burke makes a lot of sense here. Now the Knicks are pretty much in full tanking mode. They're going to be giving their young guys more minutes. We've seen that lately. Last 2 games, Trey Burke has played 30 and 26 minutes off the bench. He's taken a ton of shots. In that game against Orlando where he played 30 minutes, he took 22 shots in that game. In that game against Boston where he played 26 minutes, took 19 shots in that game as well. He's obviously been shooting really well from the field, 54% against Orlando, 52%. Not sure if he sustains that, but as long as he's going to be taking close to 20 shots a game, I think we have to consider Trey Burke here. The points have been there lately. He's going to get you some assists as well. We'll grab a couple boards. Over 40 DraftKings points in his last 2 games. Just been playing so well. If this game gets ugly, which it definitely has a possibility, if this game blows out, Trey Burke will still be on the court even if it blows out. So I just really like him here as a guy you can use 5K and under at point guard. I think he's one of the better value plays on this slate. And the other guy that I want to mention for value, you could also use, I think I prefer Burke, but Josh Hart at 4,300 against the Hawks. Great matchup here for Josh Hart. Has been playing consistent minutes lately, even with Lonzo Ball returning. Last 4 games, he's played over 30 minutes, 31, 31, 34, and 31 minutes. Lonzo is starting to get healthy. He did rest in that last game on Saturday against the Kings, but he's expected to play today. I still think Hart's going to play close to 30 minutes, should possibly exceed that. Great matchup against the Hawks. Hart's down to 4,300, which is a really cheap price tag. I think him and Burke are two guys you can use at point guard if you're trying to save money here. That's really what I'm seeing at point guard for the value plays, at least options that really stand out to me. So let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard. You got Harden up here, who I'm not really interested in today. Same with Curry. Don't think those are guys I'm really trying to pay up for. I just don't think shooting guard's a position I really want to pay up for. Probably my favorite options up top here would be like Holiday, Drew Holiday. You could use at 8,100, especially in tournaments. Maybe if you want to play Devin Booker, but I don't think those are Holiday, Booker. Don't think these are like the first guys I'm putting in my lineups today. If I'm playing one lineup, don't think Holiday and Booker are going to make it into that one lineup. But then looking for other shooting guard plays, maybe if we want to go a little bit cheaper, I think Andrew Wiggins here at 6,600 against the Kings is definitely a good play. We know Jimmy Butler going to be out for a while. Wiggins didn't see much of a price increase. He's only rose $400, and he sees a big bump with Jimmy Butler off the court. Did play well in their last game with Butler missing. Played 35 minutes, which is kind of the usual for Andrew Wiggins, but did take 18 shots, which is something we'd like to see. Had 23 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, and a steal. 32 DraftKings points from Wiggins. I think we can pretty much pencil him in for like a 25 to 30 point floor as long as Butler's off the court. He doesn't have much of a ceiling, but occasionally Wiggins will get you 35 to 40. And in this matchup against the Kings, definitely possible Wiggins gets there. And at 6,600, I think he is still a good play at this price. So he's a mid-tier play I like. You got Russell, who you can play at shooting guard, I definitely like. KCP's been on a heater lately, but he is now priced up to 6K. It is a good matchup against the Hawks, but at 6K, I don't think I have to have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, but just with how he's been playing lately, you can consider him here. You need about 30 DraftKings points for him to pay off this price. You could definitely get that. I think I would prefer, if you want to get exposure to the Lakers, you do get some really good savings. If you don't play KCP, go down to Josh Hart. That's like almost 2K in savings. I would prefer to do that, but just with the heater that KCP's been on lately, with how well he's been playing, you could also play him in this mid-range. Then this 5K price tier, don't see a lot of plays here I have to have, like in like 5,900 to 5,100. Not a lot of guys I really feel like I'm jamming in today. Looking sub 5K, we do have some good value here. David NWABA against Brooklyn. Love David NWABA here as a value option. He is only 4,900, and I think that is too cheap of a price for how well David NWABA has been playing lately for the minutes he's seen. Last 2 games he started, and last 2 games he's played 33 and 34 minutes, 40 and 24 DraftKings points. You love the matchup against Brooklyn. You love the pace of this game. Definitely a game you want to have some exposure to. And NWABA, I feel like, is a really good value option from the Bulls. If you're trying to save salary at shooting guard or small forward, really like him here at just 4,900. He's mainly the shooting guard I want for value. There is one play I think you can consider that's really cheap that I maybe would use in tournaments if you want to fit in a couple studs. Jamal Crawford could be a really good value option here, just 3,800. Last game against the Bulls with Jimmy Butler out, Jamal Crawford did play 28 minutes and put up 26 DraftKings points. We know Bielitsa is going to start, but Jamal Crawford, if he's shooting the ball really well off the bench, he will definitely stay in the game over Bielitsa. That was kind of the case with him seeing 28 minutes, shot the ball really well in that game against the Bulls. You love the matchup against the Kings. If this game somehow blows out, Jamal Crawford might get some good blowout run. You could use him if you're really trying to just kind of punt shooting guard. He's the one guy I see at just 3,800. But that's what I'm looking at for this position, at least options that stand out to me. Didn't talk about Hart, but 4,300 if you want to play him as shooting guard. Really good value play as well. But let's go ahead and move on to small forward. Look up top here. You got KD at 10-5 against the Knicks. Not really going to be trying to pay up for KD on this slate. Or Paul George. Don't think I'm paying up for small forward in general. We'll talk about centers lately and kind of power forwards as well. That's mainly the position. I like some of the top tier options. And just small forward with KD and PG. Don't feel like these are guys I really have to have today. Feel like this is another position we can find some mid-range plays, or we can go for value. In this mid-range, like Aaron Gordon, I think could be a really interesting tournament play here against OKC. Don't like that matchup because Aaron Gordon's most likely going to be guarded by Paul George. George is solid defensively, but 7,200 for AG, really cheap price tag. The guy has a ton of upside here. Could definitely get 7x on this price and would not surprise me at all. 50 DraftKings points is a possibility for Aaron Gordon in this spot, especially if you think this game does stay competitive. For what it's worth, earlier this year against OKC, Aaron Gordon did have a monster game, put up 78 DraftKings points in 43 minutes. Really like Gordon in tournaments here. I think he's going to be playing his full minutes. 2 games back from injury, 25, 31 minutes, 24, 42 DraftKings points. In tournaments, really like Aaron Gordon. If you're playing a mid-range small forward, I think he's a guy I would definitely pencil in that 7K range. You got Wiggins for a little bit cheaper, who I do like today. Maybe like if you want to play Michael Beasley in this 6K price tier, he could be a play. I'm really worried about Beasley's minutes now the Knicks are kind of tanking. But Beasley did play 29 minutes his last game against Boston, 27 DraftKings points. I think Beasley's going to play 20 to 25. You can pretty much lock that in. It's just whether or not he's going to play 30 or more minutes. And obviously in this matchup against the Warriors, there's a good chance this game blows out. And if it does blow out, Beasley's obviously not going to play a ton of minutes. But he did play 35 minutes earlier this year against the Warriors and had 32 DraftKings points. I believe Porzingis was out in that game. So you could play Beasley at 6,200 if you feel like he gets the minutes. I think I'd rather get up to Wiggins because I know Wiggins, his minutes are going to be a lot more safer. But you do have Beasley there at 6,200 who you could use. And then other mid-range plays that I see, not a ton that really sticks out to me, like just under 6K that I really have to have. So maybe if we're trying to find value at small forward, you got Bjelica who you could use at 4,700. We obviously know with Butler out, Bjelica is going to be the starter. He did play 33 minutes in that last game against the Bulls with Butler out. Bjelica did get the start, had 22 DraftKings points in 33 minutes, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. I think I do like some of the other value like David NWABA, maybe if you want to play TREY, BURKE, if you want to go down to CRAWFORD, but Bjelica, if you're trying to fit in a couple studs, he is definitely a good value play that you could use at 4,700. But that's really what I'm seeing as small forward for the value plays. So let's go ahead and move on to power forward. And looking up top here, this is a position where I definitely want to fit in a stud. I mentioned earlier, I like Russell Westbrook today, but right now I have Anthony Davis ranked ahead of him. Just love this spot for Anthony Davis going up against the Suns. The Suns are just so bad defensively. You do obviously worry about this game blowing out and not being competitive, but if it does stay close and AD plays his full minutes here, he's going to absolutely crush this price tag. I've been saying this multiple times since Boogie went down. I think Anthony Davis should be priced over 12K, and today he's only 11,700, which is too cheap, especially given the matchup. Davis has just been so consistent lately. He's been giving you such a high ceiling. The floor's been there. Like a disappointing game from Anthony Davis right now is like 50 DraftKings points. I believe he had someone around that range on Sunday. And that was kind of a disappointing game. And getting 50 from your guy and saying that's a bad game, I'll take that all day. And we know Davis has close to 100-point upside right now. Love him on the slate. Paying up for him. Going to be something I'm trying to do all around. Cash games, great play. Tournaments, great play. Anthony Davis, just definitely my number one option on the slate. And since I want him, I'm obviously not paying up for Durant, not paying up for George. Really not going to be paying up for power forward in general unless I'm playing Anthony Davis here. You got mid-range plays at this position that I've kind of already talked about, like Gordon, who I really like in tournaments. Julius Randle is in a good spot against the Hawks, but at 7,800, I don't know if I'm really wanting to pay that price tag for him. I think I'd rather go down to Gordon. And then in the 6K range, you got plays here kind of already mentioned, like Beasley I really like. Bobby Portis could be a really good tournament play here. He is 6,300, which is kind of a price tag you don't really like to see, but if you think Portis gets the minutes here, he did only play 20 minutes that last game against Minnesota. Was pretty disappointing. I was pretty high on him that day. I thought he was going to get a lot of good run off the bench. That wasn't the case. Felicio did get back to pretty normal minutes for a starter. I think Felicio played 30 minutes or more. That might actually be something we see from now on, is Felicio getting most of the minutes. With Portis being 6,300, you love the matchup against Brooklyn, but at that price, I think we can get some good value. If we want to go to Felicio, we'll talk about him. He's dirt cheap. You love his matchup. I think Felicio, another one of the better value plays on this slate. But that's really it for the mid-range plays that I really see, like 6K, 5K range. Like John Collins, you could play against the Lakers. You love that matchup. With Ersan Ilyasova pretty much not on the team right now, Collins is going to be looking at some good minutes. He is 5,800 though. That's not the most appetizing price tag. You're going to need close to 30 DraftKings points, if not more than that, from Collins. But lately he's been getting the minutes. Like I said, you love this matchup. You could use Collins in tournaments if you think he can somehow get 30 to 35 here, which is definitely possible. But I think I'd rather get up to some of the 6K plays or just really try and punt this position. I think there are some really good punt options that we can use. But there is one more mid-tier play I do like that I want to mention. Markkanen at 5,500 against Brooklyn. I think Markkanen's a really good play here. Even though he's been disappointing lately, he's still been getting a ton of minutes. If Lopez remains DNP'd, if Justin Holiday gets DNP'd again, Markkanen's going to play 30-plus minutes against Brooklyn, and you just love that matchup. And he is only 5,500, which is a really cheap price tag for him. So Markkanen in that 5K range and John Collins are two guys that I think you can target. But then trying to find the cheap value at power forward, you got BEASLEY here, who you can play if you're going cheap. But the main guy that sticks out to me, kind of mentioned him earlier, Cristiano Felicio at 3,600, and a great matchup against Brooklyn. Love Felicio here as a value option. Just such a good matchup. Brooklyn been terrible defensively this year against centers. Felicio got back to nice minutes in their last game against Minnesota, played 31 minutes, started that game, had 22 DraftKings points. Obviously wasn't the best point per minute performance, only putting up 22 DK points in 31 minutes. But as long as Felicio remains in the starting lineup, which it looks like he's going to get the minutes if he can stay out of foul trouble. It's such a good matchup against Brooklyn. I think Felicio, now that he's sub 4K, just 3,600, that's too cheap of a price for a guy that's going to play 25 to 30 minutes against Brooklyn. Felicio is one of the better value plays I see. Him and TREY are two guys I'm just kind of locking in today for value and then sort of figuring it out elsewhere. So if you're going cheap at power forward or center, Felicio should definitely be on your radar. But that's what I'm seeing for power forward. So moving on to center, this is a position I do want to try and pay up for today, or try and pay up for some options here. You got Towns against Sacramento, who I definitely like, and I like that matchup, but at 9,900, I'm not a big fan of that price. I love the savings you get going down from Towns to Andre Drummond. I think Andre Drummond is a great play here at just 9,200 against Toronto. Drummond just seems way too cheap. We saw Drummond just a couple of days ago. He was priced over 10K. For some reason, his price tag has just plummeted over $1,000 down to 9,200. On the 14th against the Hawks, he was 10-6, and then a week later, after the All-Star break against Boston, Drummond price tag dropped down to 9,300. Today, he's only 9,200. And like I said, just too cheap of a price. Drummond's given you a 40-point floor lately. You're pretty much penciling in 40 points at 9,200. And obviously, Drummond has upside for way more. He can easily get 50 to 60 in the spot. Did put up a big game of 57 DraftKings points earlier this year against the Raptors for what that is worth. It is a good matchup. The Raptors have struggled to centers this year. They've been giving up fantasy points to centers. So I love Drummond here at 9,200. Just too cheap. Think he's a great play. If you can pay up for him and Davis, which is something I'm going to be trying to do today, I think that does make a lot of sense. A lot of value out there today. So I think Davis and Drummond should be pretty easy to build around with all the value. But looking for other centers that we can consider in this mid tier, I don't feel like there are a lot of plays here that I have to have. Mainly just going to be paying up for Davis here, paying up for Drummond, or just trying to go in this 5K range and find some cheap value. I think there are value plays we can consider. One play in the 6K price tier, right at 6K, I think Valanciunas in tournaments could be a really interesting play here against Detroit. We know now that Detroit has Griffin and Andre Drummond. They have a big front court, which is gonna mean that Valanciunas is gonna have to play minutes. The minutes have been consistent for Valanciunas lately. Been pretty much locking in 25 minutes from. Been playing close to 30 some nights, even exceeding 30 minutes. And earlier this year against Detroit, he did play 27 minutes and put up 43 DraftKings points. We obviously know if Valanciunas is going to get 30 minutes, he has to be in consideration. At 6K, if he gets 30 minutes, he can easily get close to 40 DK points, if not exceed that. So I do like Valanciunas in tournaments. Probably won't be going there in cash, but GPPs has a lot of upside here. But then looking in this 5K range, Alex Len's a play that really sticks out to me at 5,600 against the Pelicans. If Tyson Chandler remains out today, Alex Len going to start again and going to get some good minutes. The 3 games he started lately, been getting nice minutes, 38, 24, 29 minutes, 38, 37, and 33 DraftKings points. So pretty much giving you a 30-point floor lately. And at 5,600, that's too cheap of a price for Alex Len when he's going to be playing close to 30 minutes. You would think with the Pelicans having Anthony Davis, they're going to need Len's size on Anthony Davis. And Len's going to play 30 or more minutes here. If he stays out of foul trouble and if Chandler is ruled out, he's a great value option if you're going cheap at center, 5,600. And then looking 5K and under for the really cheap value, mainly want Felicio here if I'm going sub 5K. But you can play Felicio at power forward, which I think makes a lot of sense. But that's really what I'm seeing for center. That's what I see for this position. I think that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, just make sure you give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, then make sure you click that subscribe button down below. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT, or just leave a comment down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And good luck tonight on this slate, guys. Peace.